question from the Disney Nerd. What do you think of M3GAN being PG-13 instead of rated R? Similarly, how much would you have liked the film or your enjoyment of M3GAN? Would it have changed if it was rated R rather than PG-13? So I was a little bit late to the M3GAN party. I was out of town, and then I forgot to RSVP for the press screening. I was invited to a press screening that I could have gone to last week. I forgot to RSVP, so I didn't get in. I didn't get to go to the press screening, and then I was just too busy over the weekend. So finally, I went first thing this morning, and the theater is actually pretty full, even at lunchtime on a Monday. There's a lot of people in my theater. Finally got to see it, and I'd heard murmurs over the internet about how there was this debate over should it have been rated R. It was written to be rated R, they filmed it to be rated R, and then in post-production, somewhat after the marketing, and teenagers responded really well to it, TikTok responded really well to it, they made it PG-13 and released it as PG-13. So there's been a lot of discussion of the internet of, was that the right decision? Did they hurt their movie in order to appeal to a broader audience? And being just behind the conversation enough, I watched the movie with the conversation in mind. And my take on it, as a dude that likes really violent movies, would I have enjoyed the film more if it was rated R and had more gore and a little bit more of an edge to it? Would I have enjoyed it more? Yeah, of course I would. And they've said they're going to put out, I believe they've said it officially, said, yeah, we got plans to put out the rated R, the unrated version with all the guts and the gore that you want to see. They've said that that's coming. So I'm going to get the version that I want, and when I own it on home video, I'm probably going to be able to watch that version. But did they make a mistake in releasing it PG-13? Did they compromise the film? Did they hurt the film? I think they made the right choice. And here's why. There's a side to it where some people inherently think that they compromised the integrity of the film, what it was intended to be, for the sake of selling more tickets. And I can understand that perspective. Like, you forced a movie into a rating because you thought it would appeal to a broader audience. I can see why that feels like compromise. My perspective on it, I'm watching this movie thinking, this is a great entry-level horror film. That was my thought watching the movie. Like, this is solid entry-level horror. Last week, we got a trailer for Evil Dead Rise. I think it looks phenomenal, but I also thought, that's not entry-level horror. That's a movie that you got to know what you could tolerate with. You got to know what you're getting into if you're going to go see Cheese Grater on the Leg the movie. M3GAN is a movie that is pretty broadly accessible in the kind of the tone, the vibe. It's kind of sci-fi. It's got some humor. It's got a quirkiness to it, but it is a little scary. It's a little horror. It's got a little bit of gore in it, but just a little bit. And that, to me, like, watching it, I can see why they looked at their movie, they looked at the response on the internet, and they went, this is a movie that opens the door for more people to get into horror. And you need movies to do that. And I think this one, it worked. Maybe when we see, if they put out the unrated cut, and it's like 10 minutes longer, and they really compromised and was going to get into some really interesting stuff and then amazing kills, I could understand the idea that, yeah, this really should have been that, and they compromised the integrity. But we have a movie that opens to great numbers, got great reviews, and you're going, man, I wish that it had 15 more seconds of an ear being cut off and a lady being bludgeoned to death. I like that. I would have enjoyed that more. It would have made it, that much better for me. But it's not at the core of what made the movie work for me. And so if you look at your film and you go, this could work for a broad audience, for people that are kind of new to horror. Like, my wife doesn't do horror at all. Like very little horror. My kids are a lot more interested in horror than she's ever been. And so I'm always also kind of thinking, like, what can I show my kids, and when can I show them something? And I was watching M3GAN thinking, this is much closer to when they'd be able to see this than I was expecting. So even as like a father that's a film lover, I'm watching M3GAN being like, yeah, I think my kids would really like this movie about this doll murdering people. And it sounds kind of goofy, but what's that? What are the current entry-level horror films? This is a great one that I think it will get a lot more people having that first step into the world of horror, and it worked. And I think there's they watched it and they went, yeah, if we cut 20 seconds of an ear being cut off, we can make it PG-13, and it works to get more teenagers into this genre. So that's my take on it. Do I want to see unrated cut? Absolutely. Would Sean Chandler enjoy watching this singing girl robot murder people and have it be really blatant? Would I enjoy that more? Of course. I love watching little girl robots that sing murder people and have it being very bloody. I love that. That's one of my favorite things. That was a weird sentence. I think making this movie PG-13 is good for the horror movie community as a whole. If you want nasty, violent blood, you've got Evil Dead Rise coming in a couple months. You're going to get all the carnage, bloody, gory candy that you want. So, if Blumhouse wants to put out a movie that teenagers can go to, that's a win for the horror community. And it didn't compromise the movie in a way that was like, the movie's bad now. It's just more accessible to a broader audience, and I'm going to get the version that I want on video anyway. Cool. I'm down for that. So I watched the movie, and I thought, hey, I'm okay with this. I don't feel like this movie's compromised because they trimmed it down to PG-13. But what do you guys think? I know people are all over the place on this one. I know my buddy Cody Leach has been chiming in on it on Twitter all over the weekend, all that fun stuff. So we shall see where this one goes.